remind me.
You ship out today. You should really be with June.
Yeah, she's a sorceress.
And?
And I'm afraid if I break up with her, she's going to burrow a hole through the planet.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3 video. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references, so we'll break it all down. James Gunn also just called the series a Man of Tomorrow prequel, implying that there's going to be even more Superman crossover between the first Superman movie and the second Superman movie, raising way more questions than it actually answers in typical James Gunn fashion. So far, it seems like a lot of these big crossover moments during the episodes are dedicated to this weaving in with Superman and Man of Tomorrow, so we'll talk about that as we go through the video. He also said that he wouldn't let any press see the last couple of episodes, implying that there was going to be really big crossover moments, so you can start placing all your theories about who's going to show up and what's going to be happening in those last couple of episodes. Just another reason why you should be watching the episodes week to week instead of waiting till like the complete end of the series to binge watch all the episodes. Real ones back in the day, remember, this is kind of how the Arrowverse shows worked, the way they bounced off of each other back and forth with a whole bunch of crossovers. A lot of what's going on with Peacemaker in this alternate universe subplot also probably reminds you of The Flash Season 2 with Zoom and Earth 2, and them continually going back and forth between universes. While I was in the middle of making this video, James Gunn even called the other universe in Peacemaker Earth 2, just like The Flash's Earth 2.
There's nothing that I think Christopher Smith is more excited about in Earth 2.
Doesn't mean it's the same Earth 2 from the Arrowverse because James Gunn hasn't canonized the Arrowverse to the DCU yet, but maybe eventually we'll see some more Easter eggs and cameos from the Arrowverse people coming back. Seems like it was a long time ago, but it actually wasn't. I'll put links for all those Flash episodes in the description below. Been a while since I've actually watched some of my old Flash videos. Everybody's still hoping to see Grant Gustin show up inside the DCU movies Man of Tomorrow. He actually personally commented on James Gunn's Man of Tomorrow post too, stoking a lot of the cameo theory flames. But the episode title was Another Rick Up My Sleeve, a reference to the phrase Another Trick Up My Sleeve, and the return of Rick Flag Jr., both in the DCU at the beginning of the episode for the flashback, and in the other universe because Peacemaker never killed him in the other universe. The events of the Suicide Squad movies went down very differently in the other universe. So probably one of the other biggest things that this episode does, like it was really cool to see him come back as Rick Flag Jr., but also this partially canonizes the events of the first Suicide Squad movie even more than it already was before during James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie. Back when James Gunn released his Suicide Squad movie, there was a lot of questions about this, like what is canon from the first movie because some of the actors are the same? Is everything meant to be the same? Because they still made that movie under the DCEU. Ben Affleck was still Batman, for instance. Jared Leto was still the Joker. Margot Robbie was still Harley Quinn. We had the same version of Amanda Waller, so on and so forth. Then when we came to the DCU reboot with the Superman movie and everything that's happening now with Season 2 and them retconning some stuff like the Justice Gang for the Justice League, there's still a lot of questions about what is still canon from those Suicide Squad movies. Just going through that flashback scene, this is the scene that really canonizes that first Suicide Squad movie. So the episode starts with a flashback to 3 years ago with Harcourt in the DCU who's in a relationship with Rick Flag. So remember, this is inside the DCU, this is not the other universe. It's meant to take place a couple hours literally before the events of James Gunn's Suicide Squad movie, after the events of the first Suicide Squad movie. So one of the retcons here, Justice Gang to Justice League style, like he did in episode 1, is that Batman is completely different. It's not Ben Affleck Batman anymore. It's a new Batman that we haven't met yet so far, because James Gunn keeps saying that he's going to cast a new version of Batman for Brave and the Bold.
But the Bat got her too. She's in the same hole as Deadshot.
There's going to be a brand new Joker. We don't know if Margot Robbie's going to be back as Harley Quinn or which other actors are also going to come back, but just assume that those are the things that will change Justice Gang to Justice League style, like just swapping a couple of the actors, and that's it. Sounds like everything else from that first Suicide Squad movie is still canon now in present-day DCU. Harcourt references he should still be with June Moon, Enchantress from the first Suicide Squad movie. They mention he's still in a relationship with her at this point while he's seeing Harcourt on the side, and they've been lying about it this whole time. It sounds like they've had a thing going on in the background for a while. He tells Harcourt that he's worried about officially breaking up with June Moon because she might go full Enchantress again and blow another hole in the earth, which I think is a reference to the events of that first Suicide Squad movie with the giant beam in the sky and the ring of trash that everybody was complaining about. One of the other Easter eggs here too is for the Superman movie, because you remember 3 years ago is when Superman revealed himself to the world and started acting publicly as Superman running around saving people. So James Gunn is also saying that the events of the Suicide Squad movie, his Suicide Squad movie, took place right before his Superman revealed himself to the world. So Superman was not active during the events of the Suicide Squad movie now. Part of the other thing about this whole flashback scene is it's supposed to be an example of Harcourt having a somewhat decent relationship, like a loving relationship with somebody else in her life. Also explains a lot about why her relationship with Peacemaker in present day is so complicated, because he killed the dude that she was in love with before this, which is why she keeps saying in present day, me and Chris are never going to be a thing, like it's just too complicated. It just seems like she hasn't revealed to anyone else about her relationship with the original Rick Flag in the DCU. Like nobody knows that she was actually seeing him on the side. When Rick Flag says they already messed things up, the idea is that he wants to actually be with her. Like, why don't we just continue this because he's in love with her? So it just meant to hammer home how much of a WTF moment Peacemaker killing him in what's happening in present day is now. Like, it's really messed up. Also, because there's so many Suicide Squad movie references in that original Suicide Squad movie in Enchantress, David Ayer has commented a lot about the Ayer cut. Supposedly it does exist, but as far as I know, James Gunn, Warner Brothers don't have any interest in releasing that as like a completely new version of the movie. Maybe someday they'll release like a director's cut, quote unquote, but I wouldn't hold your breath for that. Like, we'll probably get the Batgirl movie before we get the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad, and we're probably never going to get the Batgirl movie. She then reminds him he ships out to Corto Maltese in 2 hours, which are the events of the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie, where Peacemaker then kills him, which they then show you during the intro of the episode in a bunch of clips before the actual dance. Then in present day, they pick up in the other universe with Peacemaker hungover after traveling through the doorway, his brother Keith just assuming he's been on another bender. There's been little bits of details we've learned about the other universe version of Peacemaker that have painted him as being a very, very messed up dude. Like, there's a lot that is not perfect, even though Peacemaker thinks that everything is perfect in this other universe. It is not. You remember little details around his room about some of the small differences between universes? There are also a couple of jokes about this later when he's talking to his brother, like, remind me again about this one thing. What about the Kardashians? Like, little things that just are completely different in the other universe. The hair metal band posters. Pour Some Honey on Me by Def Leppard instead of Pour Some Sugar on Me. They'll probably use this for more comedy through the rest of the episodes in the other universe, but we're almost halfway through the season, so I think the idea is that we're slowly seeing things devolve in the other universe. Like, eventually the shit's gonna hit the fan and things are really gonna get crazy. We found out the other Peacemaker was addicted to pills, might still be, because he's hiding them in his drawer that we find later. Peacemaker's kind of freaked out by it, like, dude, what is going on with this other version of me? Also seems like he has really questionable taste in fashion. He remembers texting the other Harcourt all of a sudden over a very, very long P. You have to picture James Gunn off screen just yelling at him like, just keep going, we'll just keep the joke going, it's funnier if it goes on longer. We find out the Kardashians do not exist in the other universe, we'll call that a big win.
Why do all my clothes look like the Kardashians' furniture, huh? Who are the Kardashians?
The jarhead that they finally pay off, a lot of people had this theory, was the other universe version of Rick Flag Jr. Like, a lot of people were like, what if the jarhead in the other universe she's seeing is Rick Flag? There are a couple more jokes about him not completely understanding what things are like in the other universe, like, tell me where Harcourt works. Where is Argus? Where is my peace cycle? Turns out he has a Peacemaker-themed motorcycle in this universe, which I don't think is based on any big comic book twist, but there are a lot of DC characters in general that do have themed motorcycles, mostly Batman-related characters. His version is based on a customized Harley, which actually seems pretty cool. Like, it actually seems like a pretty solid motorcycle. You can see that they actually built out a custom Harley, like this is an actual real motorcycle that John Cena can drive and his stunt people can drive around. Seems like it's carrying a pretty good payload of weapons too. We've actually seen a couple more trailer scenes with him driving around on it, so we'll actually see it in some big action scenes later. He starts to learn that everybody loves him in this universe. He's a celebrity on the scale that he only wishes he were in the DCU, where everybody thinks that he's a joke. Him saying this is the best dimension ever is meant to set up the twist at the end of the episode where he also says that again, but also the reveal that things are not quite as good as they seem. Like, something is going to happen, the other shoe is going to drop at some point, and we'll find out something crazy about this universe. That feels like a very James Gunn kind of joke to make. Back in the DCU, the rest of the 11th Street Kids gang also wake up super hungover in Harcourt still after a night of drinking. Harcourt, though, takes it like a champ. Seems like she does a lot of drinking, though. Adebayo questioning her about her relationship with Peacemaker a couple times throughout the episode just seems like it's meant to pay off the flashbacks. She hasn't fully revealed to the rest of the 11th Street Kids gang, or really anybody else, about her relationship with Rick Flag and why her relationship with Peacemaker is so complicated, but because we, the audience, have seen the flashback, now we get it. Vigilante goes on about more animal facts. He talks about crow facts. Apparently his whole thing now is just animal facts. He launches into spider facts then, which Economos then quizzes him on again, also setting up the post-credit scene. Notice he also mentions Martian eyes, which just feel like more Martian Manhunter Easter eggs. Like, we are probably going to see Martian Manhunter in the DCU show up at some point. There were so many Easter eggs for him during the Superman movie. While they're still in the DCU, Argus then questions Economos about Eagly, calling him a superpowered duck because of Flurry's whole bird blindness jokes, which they continue to pay off. His team still in the hospital. They then grill Economos about Eagly, and he is speaking truthfully. He had nothing to do with him being there. He was just at the house like he would normally be, and just happened to be a crazy strong eagle, like he's just crazy good. They use this as an opportunity to introduce Michael Rooker's Red Saint Wild character, world's greatest eagle hunter. There are a whole lot of jokes baked into this, like just funny little moments with his character, trying to differentiate him from his other savant character during the Suicide Squad movie, which they also just referenced earlier in the episode, which Michael Rooker, big part of. Maybe there'll be a joke about him looking similar to other Suicide Squad-based characters, like, wow, you look like that dude that died during that mission. Turns out he really loves killing eagles, even though it's very illegal, as Economos points out. Like, he wants to kill all eagles. The way that James Gunn talked about it, like in a funny way, is that he's meant to be Eagly's version of Lex Luthor. Sasha Bordeaux then almost fires Economos and teams him up with Judo Master, who is back working for Argus now, and eating a ton of Flaming Hot Cheetos, like he's just constantly eating the Flaming Hot Cheetos still. When she calls him Rip Jagger, it's not meant to be a reference to Mick Jagger. It's actually meant to be Judo Master's real name in the comics. It's Ripley Jagger, so that's why they call him Rip Jagger. It's just that they're using his real name because it's Argus. Back in the other universe, Peacemaker goes to the other version of Argus. The acronym stands for the same thing in this universe, Advanced Research Group of the United States. The advanced research is into metahumans, supernatural phenomena, things from outer space, generally the really weird, really powerful stuff. When the guard references Mr. Grant, that might be a reference to Ted Grant, Wildcat, Justice Society stuff. Maybe he's just an ally of Peacemaker's in this universe who apparently has cancer, so RIP to him. There's a little bit of world building going on here too. He's biologically identical to the other Peacemakers because the scanner doesn't pick anything up, but there might be differences in their DNA that the scanner does not pick up. This Argus office looks pretty much the same as the other DCU version that we just saw. He sees the other version of Rick Flag and has a PTSD flashback.
What's going on, Chris?
Notice he's wearing a yellow button-up shirt, and this version of Rick Flag seems kind of like a douchebag in the way that the DCU version of Rick Flag, or DCEU now, DCU, was meant to come off as a way cooler person in general. Like he's kind of an idiot and over-possessive in this universe. Maybe also James Gunn is trying to say that Rick Flag in every single universe has a thing for yellow shirts, just different kinds of yellow shirts. They mostly use his scenes in this part of the episode for comedy though. No idea how many more episodes he's going to cameo in this season because they're going to be in the other universe for a little while longer this season. When they go into town, they pass by a mural to the other Peacemaker, his brother Keith, whose name in this universe is Captain Triumph, which is based on a comic book character from the Golden Age named Lance Gallant, who debuted in Crack Comics number 27 in 1943 during the Quality Comics. This goes way back, like super deep cut character. He eventually joined the All-Star Squadron too. And if it wasn't clear, in this universe, his father is going by the name Blue Dragon instead of Red Dragon. And he basically has what you can describe as a solid date with her. That's kind of the way this scene goes down, how he wants things to be with the DCU Harcourt. Everything's starting to seem perfect in this universe. Seems like he even has a shot at getting together with this version of Harcourt too, giving him more reasons to want to stay here permanently and just take over this Peacemaker's life. There are a couple important bits of detail too in backstory. Just painting the other version of Peacemaker is a much bigger douchebag, like Peacemaker was in the DCU before the events of Peacemaker Season 1. We find out the other Peacemaker cheated on her, and that's probably what led to their breakup. Also, he had a lot of problems with pills, and he was experimenting. So it just sounds like his life was really chaotic in the other universe, which is kind of the deal with Peacemaker before the events of Peacemaker Season 1 in the main universe. Part of the idea is that Peacemaker got all this character development over the course of season 1, which is why he's a much better person now, like still making all kinds of mistakes, but a much better person than he was before, as opposed to this other universe version who got none of that character development. When they say they're going to take a couple days to think about getting back together, the idea is he's going to spend the next couple of days dealing with Argus in the main universe and trying to figure out how he's going to make it back to this universe, because he does want to stay in this other universe now. Then they get interrupted with a bank robbery by the Sons of Liberty, and they are a group from the Justice League comics, the Wonder Woman comics. They're basically an American terrorist group that just debuted in the past couple of years. They're basically what you see them doing in this episode, like an American terrorist group that just goes around blowing stuff up. When their group mentions Jerry, that's a reference to Jerry Ordway, who created the group in the Justice League comics. I think he was also one of the Superman comic book creators that James Gunn invited to the set of the Superman movie. There were a bunch of comic book creators from DC that he brought to the set. Speaking of Superman references, there's another giant Mighty Crabjoys reference, metaphorically and literally, on the billboard. Apparently they're way more popular in this other universe. James Gunn introduced them during Creature Commandos in the Superman movie. They're Superman's favorite ska punk band, but they're meant to be a fake band that he created for the DCEU. At the end of the Superman movie, though, he actually had people get together and make a song as their group, so their group is actually releasing new tracks inside the DCU that are canon. James Gunn, just a really big fan of his fake bands. There's also a Fairy Tales pet shop behind them, which he runs into, which feels like a slight Krypto Superdog reference, and there's a Jitters coffee shop behind them too, which we also just saw on the set of Clayface movie in Gotham City. Now there's another Jitters in Gotham, which they claim is new, but we don't know exactly what the timeline of the Clayface movie is going to be, if it's before or after the Superman movie or really close. We'll probably get more details about that in the next year. Jitters is a longtime DC comic book franchise, but they were used heavily during the Flash TV show, which is also very relevant because James Gunn was talking about the Flash in his previous podcast about the Peacemaker TV show. Sounds like he's just a really huge fan of Grant Gustin in the Flash TV show in general, so much bigger chances of him eventually cameoing in some way in some future DC movie at some point.
Yeah, James Gunn asked me to play a Flash show.
Relevant also because on this series this season we're going back and forth between the alternate universes, and they did that on the Flash TV show for a long time. While Peacemaker starts to take out the villains, you notice that the other Harcourt and the cop make it sound like the other Peacemaker would not help people this way, like rush into action without his super suit. Like he was very particular, kind of a dick about the way he saved people. He winds up wrecking their group pretty easily. Like this is probably one of the best parts of the episode, him just steamrolling all of them in creative, different ways. Love the way he takes out one of those dudes with the pencils, too. I was trying to find little Easter eggs about the other universe in the background, but most of the stuff on the whiteboard, for instance, just seems like this office, the people hate people texting on their phones while they're driving, which is a totally normal thing. Like there's nothing unusual about that. There are a couple funny moments, though, like when he disarms the bomb, the only controls on it are thumbs up and thumbs down. Like, I love how dumb that is. Then stopping the bomb, disabling it by just pulling the wires out, which is a very Peacemaker kind of thing to do. Like, normally that would not work. Do not try to disarm bombs by just pulling wires out. There's a real quick moment with his brother flying in his Captain Terrific suit, taking out the helicopter, just letting you know that his brother is also very powerful, too. This is going to be a real problem for him in the future once he figures out that he killed his brother and is just pretending to be him. One of the other small details too, they don't really address this because they cut to a different scene right after this, but Peacemaker then says, "Best dimension ever," while he's right next to Harcourt's ear in the other dimension. Did she hear that, and did she think that it was weird? Like, why did you say it? Generally just seems like everybody in the other universe are getting more and more suspicious of him. Eventually he's going to mess up and they're going to figure out what's up. Then they end the episode with Peacemaker texting the other Harcourt, implying he's definitely going to be staying, but just going to clean up a couple loose threads and I'll be gone for a little while to create an excuse to go back to the other universe because everybody's getting suspicious about him disappearing for weird amounts of time. Also seems like his brother is just getting more and more watchful of him, watching him like an eagle to make more eagerly references. Just a matter of time before he catches him in the lie. Then the song they end the episode on is Animal by Shining. Argus rolling into Peacemaker's house to take down his pocket dimension in the DCU, all the doorways to the other universes too, all 99 of them, which you remember will basically trap him in one universe or the other, so he'll either be stuck in the DCU or he'll be stuck in the other universe if they get their way. He winds up coming back through the pocket dimension just as they're rolling it in force. Based on the trailer footage, it seems like they're going to start episode 4 with him bailing with Eagly like, we need to get out of here right now. Then during the post-credit scene, they pay off the longer version, like the full version of Vigilante waking up Economos in the bathtub and taking his pants off, which he'd done earlier, and Economos got super weird about, like, why would you do that, dude? Why would you take my pants off? Generally, all the post-credit scenes in the episodes are just longer versions of them improvising and just doing funny stuff with scenes from earlier in the episodes. But there was a bunch going on during the episode. If there's anything you spotted or any Easter eggs or references you have questions about, just write them in the comments below. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of questions about what's canon, what's not canon as we go forward, not just the original Suicide Squad movie. It seems like James Gunn is just going to take that as it comes along. Basically, what he said before is that anything that they mention on Peacemaker or show in episodes canonizes the previous thing that it is referencing. Just because there's so much hype going into really big Superman crossover in the last couple of episodes, let me know who you think is going to show up. I would not be surprised if Lex Luthor is one of the big cameo scenes, because the Man of Tomorrow movie title is also meant to be a reference to him, like Lex Luthor is also the Man of Tomorrow in addition to Superman being the Man of Tomorrow. Like, imagine he's going to balance the perspectives in the movie, the story, a lot more between Superman and Lex Luthor than he did in the first movie. James Gunn has also been on a tear, revealing a whole bunch of Superman, Batman, DC movie-related stuff, so I'll try to do videos for all that stuff as well, too. I just did a big Superman Man of Tomorrow video. I'll post links for that in the description below. My full episode 4 video will post next week after they release it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. Everybody click here for all my Peacemaker episodes, and click here for all my Alien Earth episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.